What's up? My name's Branson Murphy, Director of Sales at Quibble, and today we're going to talk to Mike Springer, who is the founder of Book Nola. Book Nola is the top short-term rental management company in New Orleans. What's up, Mike?
What's going on, Branson? Excited to be here and talk about pricing strategy and how kick-ass Quibble is for what we got going on down here in New Orleans.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked to just talk about your operation and kind of how Quibble's just helped out overall. So, main thing I want to start hopping into, want to get in your background. I know that you went to school for law.
Yeah, man. So born and raised in New Orleans, undergrad and law school down here at Tulane. Went to school for constitutional law actually with the intent to get into politics. Um, and kind of really stumbled into the world of vacation rentals. Um, and thanks to my now wife actually letting me crash on her couch when we were dating. So at the time before law school, I had kind of worked with my cousin who was a carpenter to turn my mom's garage into a studio apartment. Like the original bachelor pad, I'm not even kidding. The walls were literally the same color as your background.
What?
Um, it was terrible. I'm lucky to have a wife after that actually.
Yeah.
But tiny 240 square foot studio apartment. Started renting it out in April 2016 for like Jazz Fest and Essence Fest, the big events, and I would kind of crash at a friend's house. And then October of 2016, got this like month-long booking, and my now wife agreed to let me stay with her for that month, and it kind of just took off from there. I never moved out from living with my wife, or my now wife. And turned this 240 square foot studio apartment, 3 miles from the French Quarter, nowhere near a streetcar, within, like 6 months into really consistent $2,000 a month. Microwave, mini fridge, tiny bathroom, small shower, queen bed, nothing fancy. And then just so happened, again, this is my second year of law school at the time, Airbnb rolled out their co-host program.
Mhm.
So before you know it, I'm managing about 10 units. And law school graduation comes around. My wife and I had our first child December of 2017. So as I'm walking across law school graduation stage in May of 2018 with my daughter in my arms, picking up an 80 plus hour a week job as a junior associate at some law firm in the low paying field of constitutional law just um, really wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be. But so that legal background really set the stage though for kind of jumping right into the property management here of short-term rentals. There have been about four law changes for the short-term rental regulations here in New Orleans just since 2017. So in the past 8 years, right? I was fortunate enough that one of my first clients was actually a lawyer who was on the advisory board that drafted the first round of regulations for city council. So
Killer.
yeah, so kind of from jump, was really just in the know with that. Had experience with real estate, had been in real estate since I was 18, doing wholesaling, flipping houses, things like that. And then while in undergrad, just so happened to get a job as security, working in the Wyndham hotels, learned that killer Wyndham hospitality. And by the time I was a junior in undergrad, I was director of security at a 400 room hotel in the French Quarter, right?
Yeah.
So super, super random and lucky, of course. That hospitality, that real estate, that legal background just kind of meshed perfectly. And this world of vacation rentals just fell into my lap, right? So I graduated law school May of 2018. I'm managing 10 units, working maybe 5 or 10 hours a week and making like 5 grand a month at the time. As soon as I finished law school, start the LLC, start hiring cleaners, start going after clients and working on scale from there. And here we are, what is that? 7 years later, managing a little over 60 units here in New Orleans. Um, killing it, killing it for our clients.
That is insane. Like it's cool to see kind of how you said you didn't think that they all tied together, but each thing kind of tied together where you had the law, which taught you the next pieces, and then you had the other jobs that taught you hospitality, and then you had the real estate. So even though it seemingly wasn't connected, it built to the connection that made it so you could kill it right now. Like,
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I mean, in particularly the law school stuff, because if it wasn't for that, I'd be really regretting those student loans at this point. But
yeah.
one of our biggest, I guess, organic business development growth has come from people reaching out to us, say, "Hey, I want to get a vacation home in New Orleans, but I see the regulations are crazy complicated." And so, just like she did at the time, my wife still helps out. She's a realtor here, and of
Yeah.
course, she's short-term rentals. So we kind of partner up and help people find properties where we can 100% guarantee after you buy this property, we're going to get you a short-term rental permit. Um, and so that's been our thing. That's being able to navigate through the regulations and stay up to date and know the head of the local short-term rental department on a first name basis. Really, really makes it easy for us to help clients get those short-term rental permits and continue to grow our portfolio.
That's solid. So that's been your like uh competitive edge just overall is having all that stuff. And then now you got Quibble to help you out in building that portfolio up. Um, how has that helped you in getting more like clients,
Yeah,
getting
absolutely.
more properties?
For sure. I mean, it's one thing to be like, hey, we're the best short-term rental management in New Orleans. We've got a
Yeah.
lot of local competitors. None of them are surprisingly doing direct bookings. Like our biggest competitor is like, oh, we exclusively list on Airbnb because we want to get that guest favorite badge, and we don't want to block dates. And it's just like it's just no comparison, right? But it's one thing to say, hey, we're better than those guys. It's another thing to be able to come in and say, hey, look how much more money we're making than them. Look how
Yep.
much of a greater market share your unit would pull if they were in our portfolio, working with Book Nola, backed by Quibble, and the pricing technology there. Um, had the again, good luck of stumbling upon Quibble and meeting Neil right as Quibble was getting ready to go live with their integration with Hostfully.
Hmm.
And at that point, I had just wrapped up like 2 brutal weeks of meeting with like different revenue managers. And because at the time we were really intent on upping our revenue management game. Um, one meeting with Neil and learning about Quibble just really for me was eye-opening. Like there's just no going back to the base price model with the big three. And so we started with Quibble on June 1st of 2024. And unlike most markets in the United States, summer is our low season, right? It's 100 degrees outside, 1,000,000% humidity. There's not a beach in sight. So it's usually pretty soft.
Yeah.
We had our best summer season to date, period. Just starting June 1 with Quibble. Worked with Neil to put out a couple of uh, kind of spotlights, property spotlights to just to show just how much better we were doing than the market and ADR occupancy, RevPAR, which we were able to use for business development. So going to other people in the same buildings that we had a couple of units in and like, hey man, look how we killed it. Not during anybody can say they killed it during peak season, right?
Yep.
That's easy. That's a bare minimum. We killed it during off season, during low season, during our normal seasonal um low, right? And that is a like really tangible differentiator, right? It's
Yeah.
really easy to go to prospective clients and say, hey, look how much this unit that's in the same building as yours, same beds and baths. Um, this is the revenue we did, right? Without even knowing how much they did, and then and yeah, getting that feedback like that's crazy. How did you do this? And then we jump into the conversation about revenue management and some of the other things that we do to really, really ensure that we're squeezing all of the juice out of the lemon, so to speak.
Well, it's pretty cool because you're able then, I guess it makes your job easier, like in doing that, and then knowing if you're killing it in the down months, then you know that even if the market starts doing what the market does, you're still equipped for it overall because you've been riding the wave the whole way through, basically.
Exactly, exactly. And one of the cool things we just put out, again, with the help of Quibble and Neil,
Yeah.
uh, are both a 2025 market forecast. So just a forecast of kind of where things are going, taking into account some of the recent regulatory changes here where the city's been clamping down on illegal listings, and a 2024 market recap. So kind of looking at the things that went wrong, the things that went right, impacts of Taylor Swift and the Eras Tour that we
Yep.
saw at the end of October. And then our 2025 forecast got into, Super Bowl and kind of the crazy, once in a decade opportunity that is, and revenue that we saw there, as well as, looking into some of the insights of what we think is going to happen this year. But exactly to your point, being able to work with, the Quibble team and having access to this cutting edge technology um, allows us to see and react to market shifts in real time, as well as helping us, predict those market shifts, right? Um, and at the same time, instead of looking at the entire market and adjusting pricing based on the entire market and on an arbitrary base price, we're looking at like kind listings. Just like in real estate normally, right? If you're going to buy a house and potentially flip it, the first thing you got to do is look at the comps, right? It doesn't matter what the renovation cost. It can cost $1 million as long as the comps justify, that investment, right? And that's exactly what Quibble has helped us do. It's helped us hone in to our true competitors, the guys that are going to come up next to us when guests are searching on Airbnb, right? Looking at not just the amenities and things like that, but the review scores. Like, oh, your competitor just got a 1-star review last week. So now we can take advantage of that and capture a greater percent of the market share at maybe a you know good nice bump in an average daily rate, right? So again, this real time, this hyper specific data that we're able to take advantage of, and we've seen the results from for sure.
Want to know you also said the image AI image generator. I mean, sorry, image analyzer. You're able to show people like their pictures and how that does, impacts everything too.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, from the beginning, that's something we've always honed, like tried to hammer into our clients' heads. Your photos are what gets people to stop scrolling, the thousands of listings on Airbnb, right?
Yep.
One, having professional photography, but two, choosing the right cover photo. And, like Airbnb, most OTAs, it's that top 5 or 6 photos that are your main ones, right? You click on the listing, you want your best ones up front. One of the first things I did with Neil was had him come back and give us like our top photos, our top ranked, most appealing photos, and we went back and adjusted our listings to reflect our best photos at the front, right? Because it's
Yep.
one thing for me and my team to be like, okay, we're going to use our best judgment. This looks like a good photo, and then trying to A/B test, right? Like, okay, well, let's have this photo first for this week, and then we'll shift it to this one next week and see what does better. It's another thing for Quibble to, at the snap of your fingers, be like, hey, these are your good photos, these are your bad photos, these are your best ones. Put these up
Yep.
front. Because that actually led us to go back to some of our owners with some of the lower scores. Like, hey, look, it's time to add some color into your unit. It's time to maybe up this decor, and redo our photo shoot. Because as killer as our reviews are, as much as we think you think you were making good revenue, um, there's opportunity to cash in further, right? And so we were able to get our owners to go back and invest in their units, get new photos, and again make them more money.
That's amazing. I've told people that like in practice, like not looking at the scores like as a got to get to 10 on it. But like looking
Right.
at the low scored ones and being like, do we really need these pictures? Are they like, and then looking at the high scored ones, so it's cool to see that you've A/B tested them and seeing like, all right, let's take the high score ones, see which one works for key photo, and then kind of run it from there.
Right. Exactly, man. Because again, just getting the potential guest to stop scrolling
Yeah.
to click on that. Airbnb has changed to where like they're not really highlighting the listing name anymore. It's they more highlight like, oh, it's an entire home, how many beds, baths. So it's really, really more than ever, dependent on those photos to get the guests to stop scrolling to click on there. And again, once they're on your listing, increasing that conversion rate, right? Like we want to have our best foot forward, just like you would for anything in life, right?
Yep.
And so, being able to show our properties in the best possible light with that information that we're able to get from Quibble, has definitely been a game changer for sure.
Well, it sounds like it's I've actually asked people about this because it's like pricing is a big key part of it, but there's so much more that goes on than just the pricing that this helps out with. Like you said, like you're able to actually project real future things, which that confidence just changes everything overall. Knowing how to communicate, I guess, with your like potential customers is bigger than just getting the right price. Like it makes the job easier in multiple ways, basically.
Exactly. Um, exactly. Because again, we went from, hey, we're the best in the market, we do X, Y, and Z in-house cleaning, we got the direct booking website. Um, but none of that, ultimately to clients, to homeowners, to investors, to people with these properties that are, having them on short-term rentals, right? Changing property managers or, changing from, oh, I manage my own thing to trusting a property manager.
Yep.
Really, it boils down to, is it worth it, right? And that question is a purely financial one, right?
Yep.
Is it worth it for the massive headache for me to switch from this property manager to Book Nola? Is it worth it for me to give up my baby and trust a property manager to manage my property for the first time? When we're able to show them, hey, these are the projections, but it's not just numbers we pulled out of the air, right?
Yep.
It's based on this. Where, yeah, you're using Price Labs or Beyond or, one of the big three guys, right? And being able to explain to them why the base price model is just it's it's outdated, right?
Yep.
It's yeah, period. So being able to show them that we can generate them more revenue and take concerns off of their hands, like, hey, it's turnkey property management service, we handle everything, um, has has definitely inspired confidence both for us and in our sales and business development game and for our clients, right? It's not just, oh, I have to trust these guys, um, to manage our property. It's okay, they have the data to back it up. They can break it down, just being able to answer those granular questions. And another good example, not even from a business development standpoint, in the traditional sense of adding units, but in the same vein of being able to show our clients, hey, you need better photos, let's up our decor, let's retake photos. Um, Going to them and say, hey, look how much better this property that we have that has a pool does than you. Being able to quantify down to the dollar, this is how much an investment in the pool is going to bring you in extra revenue. This is how much an investment in the deck, in a mural in your backyard. We have a lot of properties with some really killer murals. And usually those are some of our highest ranked photos, right? That Instagrammable, like get your guests there, get them taking pictures of it, get that UGC for your social media, people, tagging you in there. So being able to relay to clients or, you know, the return on investment
Yep.
of making those investments into their property. It's easy to be like, hey, we can get more bookings and make you more money if you put a pool in. We can get you more money and more bookings if you put a mural, if you make this investment in decor. That's a whole different conversation than we can make you exactly $10,782 more dollars in these summer months, just June through September,
Yep.
by putting a pool in your unit.
Because
Um,
sorry.
yeah, no, no. I mean, and just giving them the ability to calculate their return on investment. And again, being able to break it down where it makes financial sense to them to make these decisions to invest in, amenities for their properties or to invest in the time and effort it's going to take to switch to a new property manager.
I feel like what it made me think of is like when you say that you're the best property manager in the city, you're showing it too. You're like, look, I have real concrete. I've thought through all these things. I got, concrete numbers for you. Like I got a plan basically. And it's showing that whole way through, like what you guys do.
Exactly. And I mean, that's what it's all about, right? In the age of social media, anybody can talk the talk,
Yep.
but being able to walk the walk and then having the data and the facts and the evidence to back that up, um, again, just the natural increase in confidence for us and our sales team, right? Like closing
Yep.
deals. It's not like, oh, we want to add 5 properties to our portfolio this month. It's we want to show 5 homeowners how they can actually make more money with us this month, right? Because that's really how this all started too, right? Like going back to that studio apartment in my mom's garage. When I graduated law school, I turned that over to her, and my mom was able to retire 3 years early, just based off of that revenue from that short-term rental that we set up in her garage, right? One of my first clients were two good friends of mine, and they were teachers. Turned one of their units into a short-term rental. Next thing you know, they're spending their summer vacations in South America, in Europe and China. So I mean, that's really what motivated me from the beginning in this company. Just being able to give our clients and regular people the financial freedom and flexibility to not have that financial stress, right? Or to be able to take that vacation, to be able to retire early. Like that's huge. So that's definitely how we approach each and every one of our clients. Not just every property is unique, but each of our clients and their financial situations and needs are unique. And this, again, just gives us another leg up in having that conversation and being able to explain the benefits of working with us.
It feels like hospitality, like in its truest form. Like you're thinking about them and how to build their, financial situation up. So like you're thinking about them all the way around, really. You know what I mean? Like that seems like a hospitality type thing.
100%. 100%. And again, going back to that's random background, the being security from 18, and I'm not a big intimidating physical presence, to going to being director of security at 20 to 22, right, at a hotel in the French Quarter where I'm constantly encountering, homeless people and have those interactions. But yeah, I mean, it's hospitality first, always, and
Yeah.
this just came up like 2 days ago. Met with another client who was working with a national brand, and sat down with him. And as we're walking into the building, he was quite taken aback that there was a houseless gentleman that was kind of digging around in his shopping cart and getting his situation together, right? And we get inside and he's like, "Oh man, would you guys take care of that? How would you do that?" Da, da, da. I'm like, "Oh, absolutely." And I spoke about my security background. Like, I was 120 pounds, director of security, man. Like in the French Quarter dealing with these homeless people. And he's like, "Well, how would you deal with that, man?" I'm like, I would talk to him. I would deal with him the same way that I would deal with a guest, with a homeowner, with empathy and compassion, right? And we got up and I asked him, "Let me go out first, right? And let me have this conversation." Um, and within 60 seconds, me and the guy are laughing together and he's packing his stuff up and walking away, right? So everything that we do is 100% hospitality first, whether it's with our guests, our homeowners, or anyone that we interact in this business, for sure.
That's that's killer to see. Just like I said, all the way through like uh how you learned all of that. And how, like I said, like the way that each thing kind of played into each other and has made you the best property manager in New Orleans at this point because of all that. Like, that's pretty killer.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, stoked that you were able to, kind of tell us more about how Quibbles helped Book Nola build up. Can't wait to do some more of these.
Absolutely, man. Always a pleasure talking to you guys. Love it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Mike.